The following training is a Spotsylvania County radio systems training. This presentation has been updated in the month of December and is consistent with the training that was released in the radio switchover that happened a few years ago when we moved to the new radio system. As a reminder, the FRIM radio contact is going to be Chief Matt Embry and can be reached at his cell phone, which is on the initial slide. The objectives for the program is we will do a system overview of how it works. We'll additionally talk about the radio models. We'll talk about the portable radios as well as the mobile radios that are installed in the emergency vehicles. We'll talk additionally about the XL200 operation, general maintenance and repair requests for the radios, transmission techniques for effective communications, the differences in zones, bank, and channels to include the layouts in use. There will be a skills session prior to the completion of the training. For the system overview, we operate on a trunked radio system. This radio system is an 800 megahertz system. We additionally have talk-around channels that use older frequencies that can be used in addition to the 800 radio channels. We use a trunk radio system because it uses less frequencies and is more efficient to handle more users. A traditional radio system uses one frequency per channel. As you can see in the conventional system that is on the left side of the screen, this is given as a service counter employee. So as you can see, the available channels that are depicted in the purple color, and as the customer, as the white dots, they will line up on an available frequency but not be routed to one that is available. As you can see on the right side of the screen, there is a control channel that directs the customers to the service employee. So as the service employee is added there, when they come to the middle, there is a computerized assignment of channels. You can see that each of these will go to the available, which makes the system more efficient. Why P25 trunking? Trunking does a lot and improves the efficiency of the overall radio system. It prevents from the user having to manage the system and thus getting busy signals when trying to transmit. It encourages interoperability amongst other departments within the county system and additionally other counties outside or other jurisdictions. It allows for radio-to-radio comms in private that would not be transmitted over the radio system and thus being heard by scanners. It additionally enables priority use, which is important to public safety. Each of the radios have a priority assigned to them and can be identified based off of public safety or a general employee, allowing speed and efficiency of the radio system. Our radio system is P25 compliant, which is a national radio standard for communication systems. It uses digital control channels, which were depicted on the previous slides. There are multiple talk groups with the ability to record. All of the Spotsylvania zones have the ability to record with the exception of the talk around frequencies. There is less than a half-second access to the radio system. Additionally, there is a unit ID for each radio so that not only the dispatcher can identify the radios, but most of the radios and mobiles can identify what radio is transmitting. The ability for emergency calls, queuing with priority, which means if there is not a control channel available, that it will queue in the system and maintain its priority based off of when the push to talk was depressed, as well as the priority of the user trying to key onto the radio system. And each of these radios operate on the 11 tower sites within the county. Each of the radio sites are depicted on the map, and each of these are connected through a loop or fiber optic cable. Additionally, there are runs from the ECC to the three main towers, which give a redundancy within the system. Radio models are the M7100 and M7300 in the top left picture are what you will find on most vehicles within the county. The M7100 is similar to the XL200 as it has the capability of 700, 800, UHF, and VHF frequencies. The XL200, which you see shown in two colors at the bottom, is consistent with the officer portables that are on all apparatus in the county. The XG75 are projected to be removed from the apparatus as of January 15th. Some of these radios will remain in the EOC, as well as Spotsylvania Volunteer Rescue Squad ALS providers and canteen units. The radio that you see in that picture is gray in color. However, we do have many yellow colored radios as well. The XL200 is going to be assigned to each riding position. The black-faced radio, which are currently the officer radios, will be reassigned to the fire apparatus drivers. The green-faced radios will be assigned to all other positions. Both of them have the same capabilities to operate on the radio system as well as any of the surrounding jurisdictions that are programmed within the radio. The only difference between the two is one contains an LTE card and has a logo on the bottom corner of the radio, which is the green-faced radio. The black radio does not have this. However, it is not activated in the green radio, so there is no capability difference between the two radios. The XL200's benefit is it is rated for explosive atmospheres, fluid contamination, and 4-hour immersion. There are 64 channels available through the A, B, C, and D on the top selector and can maintain as many as 1,250 groups per personality. The layout of the radio, which most should be familiar with, can be depicted in the picture displayed on the left side of the screen. The user programmable buttons, the top button or the yellow button above the push to talk, is programmed for a replay of the previous traffic that was on the channel. This is a 1-second hold and depress to activate this feature. If the button is held more than 3 seconds, it will clear the previous transmission from the recording. The soft keys on the front of the device, the single dot is going to be the system and zone down key. The center key, or the 2-dot soft key, is going to be the scan on or scan off key. The 3-dot will be the system or zone up key. This is consistent with the way the XL200s are currently programmed in the field. The AB switch, which is located at the base of the power and volume knob, is going to be the lock on and lock off switch. The button at the base of the channel selector knob is going to be the A, B, C, and D switch, which allows to change from 1 to 16 and so forth through the 64 channels that are programmed in the zone. Displays that are shown on the radio on the front left is going to be the front of the portable radio. This will show the selected channel at the top, then the selected system or zone below, and then the 3 user programmable soft keys that we talked about on the previous slide across the bottom. These are consistent with the button directly below them. The top right, or the bar across the top, is a status area. You'll see radio icons within that area. The main 2 that we will pay attention to are the battery indicator as well as the service indicator that's on the left side of the screen. Any status messages that were sent from communications will also be displayed on this screen. The top screen, which can be viewed while the radio is worn and looking down at the top of the radio, has similar information. You will see that the selected channel is displayed, as well as the 2 status icons that we talked about the importance of on the front screen. When in the Spotsylvania zone, the color will be yellow. The color is consistent with the faceplate of the radio and as a reminder or the ability to look down to quickly see that you are on the proper zone. Any other will be in a light blue or a white color, as you can see depicted for the marine channel in the lower right picture. The new XL200 green radios, as well as the black-face radios, will have new features. All radios will have the new fire mic that is shown on the left side of the screen. Also, all radios will have the new glove-friendly knobs. These will allow for easier manipulation when wearing the gloves. The 2 knobs that are replaced are the volume knob and the channel knob. A new feature activated in the XL200 Portable is audible announcements. This voice announce will work for features such as scan, lock, changing of the zones, or changing of the channels. This will allow when the radio is worn in a dark environment, situational awareness of what channel they are on, or if the radio happens to be bumped, they will know that something has changed. The new Fire Mic speaker, which has been seen on some of the radios in the field, has two push-to-talk buttons, one on either side of the microphone. Only one of these push-to-talk buttons will need to be pushed to transmit over the radio. The next slide shows radio icons that can be displayed on the radio itself. Some key icons to pay attention to can be the status icons that you see as the first few at the top of the screen. This shows the trunk, signal strength, as well as transmit power or the receive signal. Below that you will find the battery charge levels. So a full green will show 100%, and so forth, 25% down, 50% down, 25% remaining, or only 5% remaining below that. Radio status messages that can be received on the screen, you can see listed on the left side, as well as a description to show what the issue may be. A push-to-talk denied would be that the radio is not programmed onto the radio system. That would mean that this radio needs to be sent to the radio shop. Call queued would happen when the channel is unavailable and it is placed in line in the requested order. Many of the other channels that you see here, such as wide area scan or control channel scan, which we've seen as WA or CC scan on our previous radios, would be an issue with getting service off of the system. This could happen when you're in a surrounding jurisdiction or far away from one of our radio antennas, as well as if there was an antenna issue on the radio itself. Accessing the menu and the options listed within on the XL200 can be seen on the left side of the screen. The menu select button is the center, and then the left and right, up and down navigation buttons will help you get through. If you look at the pictures to the right of the radio, you will see that each of the tabs across the top has a list of options underneath of them. Some key ones to pay attention to are the audio playback. There'll be 5 of the previous audio transmissions stored within here. They are only in order of the most recent, and they will overwrite as the radio traffic continues. The screen to the right of that, you will see the messages. Under messages, there is a faults or alert section that is there, that if the radio did have an issue, this could be open to identify what the issue was on the radio. The middle window on the left side shows where the scan features can be programmed. This will be addressed on a later slide, but this is how you access the menu to begin creating scan lists. Channels, banks, and zones, as we're using them in the county, they can be easily confused as we have chosen to use zones over systems. Channel, as described, is a frequency assigned talk group in a trunk system allowing users to communicate. The channel selector, which you will see in the middle at the top of the radio, allows us to change between 1 through 64 or 1 through 16 on the A, B, C, or D switch. The A, B, C, and D switch is our bank selector. It's a grouping of channels within a zone, and it's a portable specific feature. The mobile radios will have a continuous loop on the channel selectors. Zones are a collection of channels from one or more systems on the radio and can be organized by jurisdiction or function. These were the 2 soft keys that were used to zone up or zone down. As you've been familiar on using our current radio system, this is how we would switch to a mutual aid jurisdiction. Scan operation is described on the left side of the screen. It will take you to the menu that you saw on the previous slide and allow you to select the channels that you would like to either set as priority 2, remove priority, or add a nuisance or add back. You'll see that priority 1 is struck from the list. The channel that is selected currently on the radio, for example, if you turn to Spotsy 1, the channel that is selected is going to be the priority 1 channel. That means it is the first channel that you will hear if the scan is on. Subsequently, a priority 2 would be behind that, or if you added a nuisance for a channel that you had scanned that was being used, for example, on a fire, and you needed to quiet the radio, you could assign a nuisance to that without altering your scan list. As a reminder, to start and stop the scan, it is the soft key that is located in the middle just below the screen with 2 dots. Emergency button activation. These buttons are located on the very top of the microphone with a red triangle and an exclamation point, or the orange round button, soft key, that is located on the top of the radio. The button will have to be pressed and held for 1 second to activate. On the screen after activation, you will see Transmit Emergency. The radio will remain keyed and has priority over any other radio traffic for 10 seconds. The dispatcher at that point will have to acknowledge the emergency activation before others can access the system or clear the activation. If it is not acknowledged, this will reactivate every minute and remain open for 10 seconds. Changing a battery on the XL200 with the new green face is no different than the black face radios that we already have. There are 2 buttons on the bottom that need to be depressed, and then the radio battery can be slid out of the bottom of the radio itself. This can be done with or without the belt clip installed. You will notice on the bottom of the radio that there is a green dot. That meets the intrinsically safe requirements for that radio. If the radio battery has a black dot or any other color than green, that means that the radio does not meet the intrinsically safe requirement. All batteries within fire and rescue should have green dots. Any other general government employees or sheriff's office employees that come in to swap a battery will have a different color. If you notice one of these and to get that swapped out, please contact Chief Embry. Care and cleaning instructions for the XL200 are listed below. Periodically, the radios need to be cleaned and need to be cleaned after any IDLH atmosphere entry. You can remove dust and dirt just using a damp clean cloth. Warm water and a mild detergent soap may be used. They need to be wiped dry and completely dried inside and out with a clean cloth. Anytime the contacts are dirty behind where the microphone would be or the battery is, make sure these are clean so that the transfer is appropriate between the battery and the radio or the device being attached. Please do not use any chemical cleaners, spray, or petroleum-based products that will damage the radio housing. Do not spray any cleaning solution directly onto the radio. Radios sent to the radio shop should be sent as a complete unit. This means the radio, battery, and microphone still attached. At the radio shop, the replacement radios will not have these devices attached. They will be switched over to the new radio to allow consistency for when the other radio is returned. Be sure to include the following information and track it, as it does not auto-fill. Harris Radio Shop should be the initial and detailed description, the fleet number of the vehicle for any mobile radios, the unit and LID for the portable radios, and a detailed description of the problem. Additionally, point of contacts and phone numbers should be filled in so they know who to reach out to should there be a problem. The following are techniques for effective radio communications. The XL200 radios, as well as any other peripherals used on our radio system, transmit in a digital format. Voices will sound differently than when communicating in an analog mode. The radio system is effectively taking the voice, breaking it down, transmitting it over, regenerating into a digital sound. This sound ultimately is more of a nasally sound and definitely makes people sound different than normal. In order to communicate over the radio, you must make sure that the radio is on the network. A radio showing CC scan is not registered and will be unable to transmit. Make sure that you are on the proper zone and proper channel before you depress the push-to-talk button. Once these things are done and you are ready to transmit and you have thought about what you have to say, press the push-to-talk and wait for the grant tone. This is the tone that you will hear, letting you know that the radio system is ready to accept your voice. If you speak prior to the grant tone, it will result in a clip transmission and your message will not be complete. After you hear the grant tone, speak clearly and forcefully into the primary mic of the radio from a distance of 2 to 3 inches. Forcefully does not mean yell. Yelling does not help clear transmissions across the radio system. All transmissions should be brief, to the point, as many users are sharing limited resources. After you've spoken your last word, release the push to talk. If you release this button early, your message will not be transmitted across the radio system. The zone layout for the XL200s as well as the mobile radios are as follows. You will see that Spotsylvania is listed in the middle, but the layout has been made for it to easily and quickly be able to reach any of the other zones. When pressing up on the zone button, you will find the Spotsy interop, hospitals, required Homeland Security frequencies, and then the mutual aid jurisdictions. As you will see, if you begin going up, those jurisdictions will be in reverse alphabetical order. If pushing down on the zone layout, you will see that the mutual aid jurisdictions are in alphabetical order. This is a loop and will continue looping around. This allows you to access the Spotsylvania interop zone as well as the hospital zone without having to navigate through all of the mutual aid jurisdictions. Likewise, to get to the mutual aid jurisdictions, you will not need to click through the local zones. The Spotsylvania zone layout is listed below. Again, this is for the XL200, as there are 16 channels available for each of the banks. You will see that the top and the bottom of each of the banks are bookended with dispatch. This is consistent with the ability of being able to turn the channel knob all the way to the right or all the way to the left and be able to reach dispatch. Additionally, I will highlight some changes within this layout. Spotsy 1 is new, as well as you will see 6 incident banks. These are started with an incident channel, followed by a command channel, a tactical channel, and then a talk around channel. We'll discuss what those will be used for on later slides. Also at the bottom of the Alpha and Bravo banks, you will see there is a Spotsy 2 channel. On the Charlie bank, you will see there is an info channel. Info channel would be recently known as admin. Admin channel has been renamed as the info channel. Below that, you will see the FM channel. This is the fire marshal channel. It is listed in all of the XL200 personalities. However, this is an encrypted channel. Only radios with encryption, which will be of the command staff or the fire marshal's office, will have the ability to access this channel. Below Training 1 and Training 2, which we currently have, you will see a training bank similar to the incident bank. This allows for units to train the same way that the channel banks will be used in the field. The interop zone is laid out with interop 1 through 6 and public safety interop 1 through 6, followed by familiar channels that are in our current personality. The interop channels are used for all radios that are operating on the Spotsylvania system and will allow us to work with other departments during special events or weather-related emergencies. The public safety interop channels will be used between the Sheriff's Office employees and fire rescue. These channels are used when it is sensitive information that we would not want to be sharing a radio channel for other interop events. On the Bravo side of the interop zone, you will find the marine channels that are most commonly used. These are Coast Guard channels and are available to the public. These are not specific marine channels to Spotsylvania. These channels are used for interoperability when we are operating on the waterways that are either in or on the border of the county. The hospital zone, which is formerly known as the HERE zone, shows a list of the hospitals that are there. Even though some of these use the same channel to access, we found it easier to list each of the hospitals so you can go to that specific channel when trying to communicate with that hospital. On the M7100 and M7300 mobile radios, you will find that there is one difference in the zone layout, as there is an EM zone that is not included in the Spotsylvania zone. Unfortunately, this is a limitation of that radio, as it only has 42 channels per zone, whereas our XL200s have 64 channels. By removing the EM channels from the Spotsylvania zone into its own, this still allowed for our radios to be very consistent from the mobile to the portable radio itself. There are no other layout changes, as you will see listed below. As for the new channels in the zone and how they will be used, first we will talk about the dispatch channel. Dispatch is A1 and also bookended on each of the banks in the Spotsylvania zone. Dispatch was formerly known as primary. This channel will be used by the U.S. digital system for emergency dispatch, general messages, and system status management move-ups. This channel is not to be used for responder or dispatch traffic. Only Samantha of the U.S. digital system. Transmissions are not disabled if emergency traffic is needed or the responder accidentally ended up on the dispatch channel. Spotsy 1, which is A2 on the portable radio, will be the primary channel for radio traffic. This channel will be used to mark responding, on scene, in service, provide additional incident information for single resources, minor incidents, medical calls, residential alarms. All of that information will remain on Spotsy 1. Units may request to be assigned to an incident channel grouping or will be automatically assigned to a channel grouping for any kind of escalating incidents. The next channel is Spotsy 2. This channel is A15 or B15 on the XL200s. This channel provides a backup channel should dispatch become unavailable. An example would be if a mayday was transmitted over dispatch, we could move units to Spotsy 2. This channel could also be used for an area command, high incident response situations, or as an additional dispatch channel. The incident channel grouping was designed to be able to get additional channels closely together. In our current system, the incident channels were far away from the command channels, or we would use multiple incident channels for tactical functions. The incident channel is going to be primary for the incident operations. As you saw in the channel layouts, there will be 6 of these channels. These channels are followed by a command channel. The command channel will immediately follow the incident channel. On an incident, when a command channel is needed, as the incident command staff increases and you have an appropriate amount of staffing, a command channel can be assigned, and that will be the primary means of communication between the incident commander and dispatch. The next channel will be the tactical channel. This channel can be assigned to a function on the scene of an incident. A prime example would be a water supply channel. The 4th channel in the grouping is a talk-around channel. This is a non-repeated channel that can be used locally on the scene for a function, for an example of traffic control, or can be used from pump operator to communicate specific information that wouldn't tie up the regular incident channel. Again, there are 6 of these banks for these 4 channels. 1, 2, and 3 will be located on the Spotsylvania zone in the Alpha bank. 4, 5, and 6 will be located on the Spotsylvania zone under the Bravo bank. It will be a good idea for the mobile radios to have a scan function set up between dispatch and Spotsy 1, as it could be forgotten to be able to switch back between channels. When on dispatch, you will hear the dispatch for any calls, but not additional information. Once moved to Spotsy 1, you will not hear dispatch calls, but you will receive additional information for the calls from there or additional incident transmissions that are provided. Dispatch for a motor vehicle crash. If the vehicle was on the air, you would be on dispatch channel. When dispatch for the minor incident, you would switch over to Spotsy 1 and mark your unit responding. When you marked on scene, you would give your on-scene report and any subsequent dispatch information over this channel to include assignments to incoming units over Spotsy 1. Upon arriving at the scene and recognizing an escalating incident or the need for a multi-company response, you can request an incident channel, which will give you the entire incident bank. So if you requested an incident channel, you could be assigned to channel 1. As that incident grows, if there's a need for a command channel, you can advise Spotsylvania that you will be using the command channel. Likewise for the tactical channel or the talk-around channel. Dispatch does not need to be made aware for use of the talk-around channel, as this is a site-to-site radio frequency and they will not be able to monitor. When dispatched for a structure fire, you will mark responding on Spotsy 1. After the information is given for the call, an incident channel will be assigned and units will move over to that incident. Again, the incident channel will be for the early incident operations and the decisions made on the scene until staffing increases to allow for the use of a command channel. Any functional channels needed, whether it be a water supply channel, potentially for a mayday, or an additional channel needed for a mass casualty incident, the tactical channel can be requested and used at that point. After this training, a skills session is required. You will see the taskings that are here, and there's an additional document that is part of this Target Solutions assignment. The skill session requires the following tasks be completed by each person and attached back in as a completion. This radio personality upgrade, as well as radio upgrade, will allow for increased interoperability with other departments within the county as well as surrounding jurisdictions. The voice announce feature will hopefully increase responder situational awareness. Any questions regarding the personality upgrades, peripherals used, should be asked through your chain of command. If they are unable to answer, the question can be emailed to Division Chief Matt Embry for clarification.